Have you ever wondered how money was created in the first place? Imagine you are stranded in the middle of a vast, silent desert. In your left hand, you have a suitcase stuffed with $10 million in crisp $100 bills. In your right hand, you have a single, half-full bottle of lukewarm water. In this moment, the wealth in your left hand is an absolute joke. It cannot quench your thirst, it cannot shield you from the blistering sun, it is nothing more than processed wood pulp and green ink. So why is it that in the real world, we spend our entire lives chasing that paper? Why does a green slip of paper allow you to walk into a dealership and drive away in a 2-ton machine of steel and glass? The answer is uncomfortable. Money isn't a thing, it's a story, a shared hallucination. It is humanity's most successful piece of collective fiction. To understand why your bank account has power, we have to look back at how we turned thin air into the most powerful force on Earth. Most economics textbooks tell a simple lie. They say that before money, there was barter. I give you a cow, you give me 10 chickens. But if you look at the work of anthropologists and historians, they'll tell you something startling. It almost never happened that way. Barter is incredibly difficult. It requires what economists call the double coincidence of wants. I have to want exactly what you have, and you have to want exactly what I have at the exact same moment. If I have a surplus of fish and you have a surplus of shoes, but you don't like fish, the system collapses. In the earliest human societies, money wasn't a coin, it was memory. It was a gift economy. If I was a good hunter and I gave my neighbor a portion of my kill, I didn't demand 3 baskets of berries on the spot. Instead, an unwritten social debt was created. My neighbor owed me. For thousands of years, the ledger of who owed what lived entirely inside the human brain. But as tribes grew into villages and villages into cities, you couldn't keep track of everyone's reputation. We needed a way to make that memory physical. We needed a way to carry debt in our pockets. As civilization expanded, we started using commodity money. These were items that were naturally rare, hard to find, and widely desired. In the Maldives and parts of Africa, people used cowrie shells. In the Roman Empire, soldiers were sometimes paid in salt, which is where we get the word salary. In the Aztec Empire, they used cocoa beans. In some American colonies, they used tobacco leaves. But these had massive flaws. Cattle die, salt melts in the rain, tobacco rots. If you wanted to store your wealth for 20 years, you couldn't do it with beans or shells. This led us to the heavy metal phase of history. Gold and silver. They were the perfect candidates. They don't decay, they are divisible, you can melt a gold bar into 10 coins and back again, and most importantly, they are scarce. You can't just grow more gold in your backyard. But even gold had a problem: trust. If a merchant hands you a gold nugget, how do you know it's 24-karat gold and not lead painted yellow? For centuries, every trade required a scale and a chemistry test. It was slow, it was inefficient, until one king changed the game forever. Around 600 BC, in the Kingdom of Lydia, modern-day Turkey, King Croesus began stamping uniform lumps of metal with the image of a lion. This was a revolution. By putting his face on the coin, the king was saying, "I guarantee this weighs exactly 4.7 grams and is pure gold. If you don't trust the trader, trust me. If you find a fake, you're insulting the crown." Suddenly, you didn't need to weigh metal anymore. You just needed to count. This standardized coin acted like a high-speed engine for trade. Markets exploded. Empires could now pay standing armies across vast distances. But as empires grew, the sheer weight of metal became a liability. If you were a merchant traveling the Silk Road, carrying a chest of gold made you a target for every bandit between Rome and Beijing. The solution to the weight of metal would come from the East, and it would take the illusion of money to a whole new level. In the 11th century in China, during the Song dynasty, merchants began leaving their heavy iron coins with trusted wholesalers. In exchange, the wholesaler gave them a slip of paper, a receipt, promising to return the coins upon demand. Eventually, the merchants realized something brilliant. Why go back for the heavy coins at all? If everyone trusts the wholesaler, I can just buy my goods using the receipt. This was the birth of paper money. The paper wasn't wealth, it was a claim on wealth.
Centuries later, European goldsmiths stumbled onto the same idea. They realized that only about 10% of people ever came back to claim their physical gold at the same time. The other 90% of the gold just sat there in the vault. So the goldsmiths got greedy, or innovative. They started printing more receipts than they had gold, and they lent those receipts out at interest. This is the foundation of modern banking, known as fractional reserve banking. Money was no longer just a physical commodity, it became a mathematical ratio of debt. For a long time, the world tried to keep a foot in both worlds. We had the gold standard, which meant that for every dollar or pound in circulation, there was a corresponding piece of gold in a government vault like Fort Knox. You could, in theory, walk into a bank and swap your paper for gold. Until August 15, 1971. On that day, US President Nixon closed the gold window. He officially ended the dollar's link to gold. From that moment on, the dollar, and eventually every major currency in the world, became fiat money. Fiat literally means, let it be done. It means the money has value because the government says it does, and because you need that money to pay your taxes. Today, we're in the final stage of this evolution. We have moved from shells to gold to paper and now to pixels. Think about your last paycheck. Did you see the physical cash? Probably not. It was just a number that appeared on a screen. When you buy a coffee with your phone, no physical thing moves. A digital ledger owned by your bank simply subtracts a number from your column and adds it to the cafe's column. Only about 5% of the world's money actually exists as physical cash. The rest is just data, a ghost in the machine. We have come full circle. We started 10,000 years ago with social memory, neighbors remembering who owed what. Today, we use a global digital memory maintained by massive server farms and encrypted satellites. So why does the illusion work? Why don't we just stop believing in it? Because money is the most effective tool for cooperation ever invented. It allows a coffee farmer in Ethiopia to trade with a software engineer in Seattle, even though they will never meet and don't speak the same language. Money is the language of trust. But there is a catch. Because our money is no longer tied to a physical limit like gold, it can be created at the stroke of a keyboard. When governments print more digital money during a crisis, the story changes. If there is more money but the same amount of goods, your slice of the pie gets smaller. That is what we call inflation. As we move towards a future of cryptocurrencies, central bank digital currencies, and a cashless society, the form of money will continue to change, but the core truth remains. Money is not a thing you have, it is a promise you keep. The professor in our history books might tell you that wealth is found in gold bars or bank accounts, but real wealth is the trust we have in one another to keep the story going. The question for the next century isn't what is money, it's who do we trust to write the ledger.
You made it till the end. Thank you for watching then. I hope that you enjoyed the journey through money's history. Please like and subscribe. See you in the next episode.